Losing your parent at any age is difficult, especially when your parent is young. But in some cases you may lose a parent in a tragic situation which could have been prevented if the right medical advice was there. Today we are chatting with Councillor James Bundy, who went through this very tragic situation himself, and he's raising awareness for a new campaign to basically help people and avoid such a tragedy in future. And we're going to find out about it today. So welcome, James, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me, and yeah, it's great to be here to talk about the BEFAST campaign. For those who don't know what BEFAST is, it is adding to the FAST campaign for stroke. So just now we have face, arm, speech and time. So those three symptoms to potentially be symptoms of stroke, and if you suffer from any of them, call 999 quickly, which is what the time stands for. We want to add to that and add balance and eyes to the acronym. So when you say, try and say you have to be fast without using the word be, it's quite difficult. So it's a natural roll of the tongue. Two more symptoms, more information for people in that life urgent situation. They know what to do to get the medical help that they or their loved one needs.
It's also very brave of you coming in here today to talk about this. To give us some context, what is the story behind BEFAST?
So BEFAST campaign is motivated by my father's death at 53 years old. He was out shopping with my mum in Glasgow and all seemed to be going well. They drove in because they live in Tillabuddy, so in Clackmannanshire, drove to Glasgow. It all seemed to be going well, and then all of a sudden a woman in the shop saying that man needs help, and my mum turned around to see it was my dad who needed help, and then from that point of view, call 999 as you do. His symptoms were losing the ability to stand, his eyes struggling, particularly rolling when receiving information, his speech slowing down but not slurred, and cold sweats and constantly vomiting. So the ambulance was called, and basically over the phone, the call handler, is he's got a pulse, heart beating? Yes. What about his face, his arms, his speech? Are they all fine and not slurred? So we're not dispatching an ambulance because a heart attack or a stroke was ruled out. So in that period of time, my sister managed to drive from Cumbernauld to Costco and was faster than an ambulance going from Glasgow Royal to Costco, so under a 5-minute drive. So that was crucial time lost. My mum was saying to the paramedics when the ambulance finally arrived, you think Tony, my dad, was having a stroke. He suffered a similar episode a couple of weeks before, went to the GP, stroke was ruled out, but because of that experience, my mum was saying, it could be a stroke. Fast test was applied, stroke ruled out, and from every stage, from paramedic in the hospital with the triage nurse, stroke was ruled out, and the reasons why: symptoms were out with fast, and he was a 53-year-old man who looked healthy, didn't smoke, and basically that was it. Stroke was ruled out, and he was in Glasgow Royal Hospital for over 5.5 hours before the fatal stroke struck. And I look at that and saying, if the stroke was detected when he phoned the GP or when he initially took unwell on that day when the fatal stroke happened, he could still be alive. I can't guarantee anything, but he wasn't given the chance to live, and because one, he followed Public Health Scotland guidance, which just blows my mind, and two, his symptoms were different, and that's not equality. Equality of access to healthcare is something that all politicians in this country talk about at election time. Well, it wasn't given to my dad in this circumstance, and we know from academic research that the fast test can miss 20% of strokes. So in context in Scotland, that's over 1,500 strokes per year, 4 strokes a day, potentially being missed because of a restricted test. adding 2 letters, and that's all it is, we could identify over 1,000 extra strokes per year in Scotland. So I think it's common sense, it's adding to the success of the FAST campaign, because FAST has undoubtedly saved lives, but it's adding to that to save even more.
And what's the reaction been in the political and medical sphere to this proposal you're putting forward?
In the political sphere, got cross-party support, so my party, Scottish Conservatives, went back at Dr. Sandesh Gohani, so practicing GP, who's our health spokesperson, was one of the first supporters of it. We have Scottish Labour, so Anna Sarwar and Jackie Bailey, who's the leader and the health spokesperson for the Scottish Labour Party. We've got Alex Cole-Hamilton, leader of the Liberal Democrats, and Keith Brown from the SNP, and Gillian Mackay from the Scottish Greens, who's also the convener of the cross-party group on stroke. So we have, from every party elected at the last Scottish parliamentary election, we have support from. The people that we have to convince, however, is the Scottish Government. Just now, they're not backing BEFAST. The reason for that is, what they've said is they're uncertain about the increase in false positives. My response to that is, well, don't ignore the false negatives which are happening just now, which are resulting in people losing their lives.
Exactly, because you see the kind of thing with the cancer. Just now, even if the whole campaign behind cancer prevention is, if it's a cough that's lasted 2 weeks, get checked out. Any symptom, get checked out. You know, something like cancer is equally as deadly as a stroke, but it's slower. A stroke's quicker. So to me, it makes absolutely no sense to say that false positives are a bad thing. You know, that it should be a good thing that you're screening these things out and to show the questions more resources rather than anything else.
Yeah, well, that's exactly my point. It's about prevention. That's the whole premise behind public health campaigns. Prevent something from becoming more serious. If you have a cough, go and check it out and rule it out. A prime example for cancer and lung cancer. But when it comes to stroke, time is so important. That's why it's in the acronym. Yet, if you have these symptoms, which mean you may or might not be, it doesn't seem to be included in that urgency. Well, I say it's better for people to turn up, get a scan, say good news, you didn't suffer a stroke, than, oh, you're not getting the treatment you need quickly, fast treatment. So ironically, getting denied fast treatment because your symptoms are out with this restricted criteria, and the consequence is you have either severe disabilities or you die. I don't think that's fair. It's not preventative and actually costs the healthcare system in the long term.
Absolutely. In terms of your personal reaction to this, obviously you had that awful shock of losing your father at an early age, and then finding out about, you know, the kind of symptoms, what could have happened, could have been prevented. How have you personally managed to turn that grief into something positive?
I think this is when my faith plays a role, because I think it's very natural to say, why did this happen? Why did God permit this suffering? Why did God permit my dad to go through that awful experience? Because I wasn't there when he was in the hospital, but I have that fear that he was lying in a hospital corridor expecting to die, knowing that something was seriously wrong and he wasn't getting treatment. And you can see that my voice is starting to waver. That just shows that that pain is still there and it's still raw 14 months on. But I have that faith that God wants good to come from everything, and God and good and will ultimately prevail, and not all the answers will come in this lifetime as well. But one of the things that could come out of this is a simple addition to the FAST campaign, which could help save other lives, help people continue living the life that we're given. And if it means that other families aren't going through the pain that my family are going through, then that's a positive, and it means that there's some worth and value that's coming out of this tragedy, because my mum was widowed, my siblings and I lost a father, my dad's mum still alive, and she lost her husband in his 50s, lost her son in his 50s. and you're just thinking, why was so much pain permitted by God, because God shapes all events, but that might be the reason why, and that's such a driving force in this campaign.
And how do those who are watching who are affected by this or want to support your campaign, how do they do so?
Well, we've just launched a petition. So last year we launched a petition to get the Scottish Government to review Stroke Awareness Campaign. That review is underway, so that's a positive, but we want that one step further. We want the adoption of BEFAST, so in adding balance and ICE to the acronym, and that's what the new petition calls for. So it's very easy to just go and change.org and put BEFAST Stroke Awareness Scotland, and it'll be the first one that comes up. Anyone want to contact me on my council email, just contact me and I'll give you the link to the petition as well. The more signatures we get, the more likely it is that BEFAST will be adopted, because one of the things that the government have said also, as well as other people who have raised concerns, is people might not remember BEFAST in Scotland, and I think that's a bit patronising. I think people in Scotland will remember information that could save their lives. So if you take that position, I would say sign the petition.
Well, look, thanks James for coming in today and talking about this obviously very still raw experience, horrible experience you've had, and the good thing is you're now using that experience to make people aware and maybe prevent something, another family having the same. We would encourage everyone to sign James's petition, BEFAST. We'll include the change.org link and other details on this post, so please be sure to check it out and sign it, and hopefully we'll see a change in the law as soon as possible and start saving more lives in Scotland. So thanks James for coming in.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure to see you. I have to admit, I was sleeping when James came in. I passed out on the couch and Brian brought him into the room, so if I do look a bit dishevelled this afternoon, it's because I've just woken up from an afternoon nap like a 2-year-old child.
But Brian made you a strong cup of coffee.
Brian did make a strong cup of coffee and it was very good, and it, hopefully you will not have noticed a difference during this interview. So God bless and thanks for coming in.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.